All right, guys, right back with it. Gonna start making them templates for those rust holes I have in my rear quarter panel. I went and got something. So this is what I've been using. I've been using safety glasses, but they're not the best. But they even got a little side thing on them. Front, a couple problems with them. They do fog up on me. And the other thing is even with it up against my face, somehow metal shavings have gotten right up under close to my eye, and I just don't want a chance getting something in my eye. So I went and got this thing. I don't know if a little futuristic looking, but you know what? I seen somebody wearing one, and I thought I'd give it a try. And it's got vents in there, so maybe it won't steam up. But it's just for me, so I don't try to eliminate getting something in my eye, because I've had it happen so many times where it gets up underneath the glass. It's never got into my eyeball, luckily, but it gets under the glass and it hits on the sides, or it'll just be a matter of time before it hits my eyeball, and then I'll have something really to worry about. But so yeah, so what we're going to do is I was showing you before on the last video, there's rust here, there's rust here, and this is the frame again that that the quarter panel is going to be going on to. The frame structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up building this all, kind of cut this out, and then weld in new stuff here. And then of course I'm going to weld or cut out a piece and weld it in there as well for the back of the quarter panel, or for the trunk drop down, I should say. But all right, guys, let me start tracing some stuff out, figuring out what the measurements are. I've got a couple of templates cut out. Partially bent, but so right now this is rust inhibitor, or whatever you want to call it, rust reformer, this black stuff. But I already cut out the bad stuff down here, and I've got a couple of plates here. This one will go on like this, and that I've got to bend that around the corner. So right now I'm going to hold off, probably clamp it there, and then slowly bend it around. It should be fairly easy to get that one to bend, kind of conform to the body shape here. And then I've got this one. On the back side, I put the weld through primer on the back, and then on the front I left it open because I can get to it, so I can get back to it later. But this one is going to go like, it's going to go on like this. So once it caps in like that, and then of course I'll clamp it down and then form it a little bit. It just needs to be ball peened hammer right in there. But that will seal up really well, and then get that one to come on into there. And then I should be good for this structure right here, and that'll allow me to be able to put on the quarter panel eventually. But right now I'm going to fix this. I'm working on getting that kind of patched up, and then I'll go to the wheel well, and I still got to make one for that back piece right there. But yeah, I think it was a little bit worse than what I thought it was. I thought it was only going to be a small area, but it was a little bit bigger. Hence why I cut out a big chunk. I just figured I'd get it all out of the way and then restructure it into the cab part. All right, guys, let me get back. Oh, by the way, this freaking this thing works great. And I don't have any long-term tests on it, obviously, because I've only used it for a couple hours. But in the couple hours, it's so much better than regular goggles. It keeps most of the crap out of your face and eyes. But more importantly, it allows you to breathe underneath. And so the fog and your condensation, you don't even notice you have fog and condensation because it goes under the bottom part, down by where your chin's at, and it keeps your eyes totally clear. And when I pulled it off, that's when I noticed all the, you might even see some of the foam of fog still, because I just pulled it off. But yeah, so far, 2 hours in, I'll give it my approval. Now, give it some time and we'll see how it lasts. But anything was better than what I was using. All right, guys, let me get back to work. Later. I got it pretty much tagged in. Need to grind it down a little bit. But when I was cleaning it up, I realized I have a little bit of rust on the rocker panel. So what I did was I cut there was just a little bit right here where I was kind of blowing through on some welds. And so I just cut it all off. And then I got a piece here that I'm going to zip in. But right now I've kind of got everything kind of put in and mocked up. Just waiting on tying this in, and I'll go back over it again, cleaning up the welds and whatnot. You're not even gonna see the welds, but I want to clean them up and seal them. Probably run some glass over it, glass filler over it, just kind of seal it in from rusting, and then paint it before the quarter panel actually goes on. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I didn't expect to find that little bit of rust in my rocker panel, but so be it. I'd rather tackle it now than deal with it later, because what would happen is I would end up putting on the quarter panel if I didn't take care of it, and it would bleed through this section of the quarter panel. Salt, water, whatever, moisture would get through that, and it would start tearing that up right away. So rather seal it off right now and minimize, not to say get rid of totally, but minimize any potential rust in the future. All right, guys. All right, a little further along, got it welded in. I just sprayed some weld through primer over it. I'm gonna go along and clean it up a little bit more later, but I've got it. I knocked the welds down a little bit, and I just want to put a coat over this. So I was running low on my argon, and I was thinking that I was going to run out of that before I ran out of anything else, but I ran out of wire, and then came over here. I turned off my gas because while I was respooling, because I just don't want anything else to leak out, because I'm really low. I'm like, I don't know if you can see that. I'm getting close to the needle, so I just wanted to make sure that I had enough to finish my project. And then I started back up, and I forgot to turn the gas on. And right away, I realized that the gas wasn't on, because my welds looked even crappier than what they normally look like. But everything's good. I'll probably go get gas and tomorrow. I think I'm done welding for right now. I just need to clean up these welds a little further. I already knocked them down. Clean them up a little further. And then, like I said, I was going to put glass over it just to kind of protect it even more. But it's all getting covered up by that quarter panel. I just want to kind of seal it in. But that's where I'm looking at right now. All right, guys, I patched up the hole like I mentioned, and now I just fitted the wheel well on. I just tacked it in about 4 spots just in case I had to pull it off, and I got the trunk drop down pan and prepped it to put on as well, lined it up. So I think I'm good to go with continuing on and beating all this up. or rosette welding, I should say. Rosette welding all these holes. What I did is I pre-drilled all this rim. Same thing I did on the other side. And on this piece right here, I drilled it on this one, so when it meets up, I can rosette weld from the trunk drop down into the wheel well. But right now, everything seems to be lining up. Let's see. I'll try to do this one hand. But yeah, so that's kind of how it's going to go. Had to manipulate the metal a little bit around the edges just to get this to fit, but like I said before, it's nothing unexpected when you're dealing with metal, especially when it's not OEM. You're going to have to manipulate, and you know, this car's been through a little bit. But yeah, so let me get back to, shit, guess what I just did? Huh. I stepped on my grinder, and that wheel's done. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock at night. A little tired, but we'll continue on for a while. Wife got home from work, so she watching the dog and relaxing. Allows me to come on in here and play around a little bit. But yeah, let me continue on rosette welding this wheel well, and then tagging in the trunk drop down, and then from there, I could probably start getting close to pre-fitting quarter panel to find out how I'm going to do it. I think what I'm going to do is come right up to this this edge right here and make it to the corner, so I don't have to go all the way in and peel it back. Like I said, there's not a bit of rust at all in here. This right here is from the last hack job I did, and I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you can. If you zoom in on this a little, hold on. But there's 2 layers of metal here, and one of them was the original quarter panel, and the other one is the one that we put on that I just pulled off. Or it was actually, yeah, it was that junkyard one because I cut too big of a hole. So if I just get rid of both of them, I'll be good. And then I can just manipulate that other quarter panel in. But it's still TBD, but that's where I'm leaning to right now. All right, guys. All right, I got, hold on. Freaking these fumes killing me. I've got, let me go back to the quarter panel part. That's just the quarter panel. I've got this all redone. There's some drips here. It's no big deal. That's going to be, if anything, it's extra. But I got the wheel well all rosette welded in. Got the trunk drop down, tacked in. I haven't totally put the trunk drop down in just because once I put the quarter panel on, I want to be able to manipulate this a little bit side to side based on how the quarter panel is going to fit going down. But for all intents and purposes, it's tacked in. I've got it enough to where it's not going anywhere. I just need the I guess I did get a little overzealous. So I did a 2 coats yesterday and it looked fine, and I came out today and I was going to do another 2 coats, and I think what I did is I just got a little overzealous because you can see I got some runs right here. So, and probably because it's a little cold out too, it didn't, normally I heat up the metal. And then the quarter panel, I trimmed the quarter panel and I put down weld through primer. I scuffed it up, put weld through primer on it, and then I put the black epoxy paint. And this is probably the 2nd or 3rd coat that I've had on it. So I think I'm going to be pretty good right there. It's drying right now. I've got that heat lamp on there just to keep the metal a little bit warm so it cures quicker, better, adheres. I don't know. We'll see. But right now the garage is fumigated. I got the door open, but that's why I was wearing the gas mask. Really not a gas mask, but you know, it's a freaking beautiful day out. It's like 50 degrees out. So that's where I'm at right now. And then once all this dries, I can go ahead and put the quarter panel on. And then I've got it trimmed high. So once it comes on, then I can kind of cut it in and then push it down. And I don't want a lap. It's going to be butt weld here. So, and I did choose to go up against this because I ground through here. It's all clean metal. There's not a speck of rust on there. So instead of trying to just destroy everything and pull it all apart, I'm going to just seam it in at that corner. But all right, guys, it's going to be a while. I'm going to let this dry before I come back out and try to tackle anything more with that. All right. I'm going to try to put the quarter panel on for the first time. Of course, it's probably going to end up coming off, but we'll see. I've got everything prepped, welded. And I hope you can see over that. Did I just block your view? Maybe not. Maybe. There we go. That might work. So the trick is to wrap it around here and around this back piece. I'll grab it from over here. And this is, like I said earlier, this has been painted with both weld through primer, and then I went over it with epoxy black paint several times. So got to go around the back. Everything's got to fit in like a jigsaw puzzle here. There we go. So now this is the part that's going to get tricky on top, because I'm going to have to slice and dice it, get it to line up, because I left extra on it. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Yeah. You see how it's slid back? You know, I think I envisioned this going on a little easier than what it's doing right now. And it's because of this tail section. And I welded a new spot. Hold on. Is that it? No. That's not there. It's not hanging up there. It's hanging up right here on the back. Hanging up right in the back. And what it is that part that I fabbed. I think I fabbed it just a little too tight. And of course, you know what I'm going to do. I'm locking all my stuff in the freaking trunk. The thing that I had access to. So, I have to get my key. Open up the trunk. Get in and get some of that stuff out. Especially the stuff I'm going to need. Like this piece. So what's happening, I believe, is that the little tail section I fabbed is slightly larger. I don't even know if I want to say larger. I'm just going to say it's tight. You know what I should do too? I should cut that right on off, because that would keep it from pinching up on top, which is what it's doing. So I'm going to do, cut that corner piece off. It's kind of weird not listening to music while you're working. I'm going to put this fancy eye protector thing on. And I'm going to slice this thing right on off. Normally I have hearing protection on too, but I think in haste, you know the beauty of metal? Screw it up, you can always weld stuff back together. There we go. That slipped up there a lot better. That slipped up there a lot better. Nice. See that? That's what I'm talking about right there. Now for what I probably did it pop over? It sure did, didn't it? You know, I almost want to just tack weld right here because this is perfect. Then zip that thing. Before I tack weld anything, let me just make sure I'm lining up on everything I need to line up on. Because I sure hit. All right, what we got going on here? Well, that looks decent. So I think what we got going here. I didn't think this one through. Could have wrapped it around instead of coming right up to the edge, because now I'm afraid to lift this car right off the jacks. Not saying I'm strong, but just saying that maybe I've seen weirder things happen. Oh, we are so close. We are so close. There we go. Oh, shoot, that came. Oh, man, that's sweet. See? Yeah. That's freaking sweet. So what I'm going to do, let's see if I can just take some pressure off of that. Oh man, I don't think I could have asked for a better setup. So it's lapped right now, but it's not going to be lapped. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go make a line, because I can see where it's cut on this side and I see where it's cut on this side, and I'll just, and then pull that thing out. It should pop right in, and then we'll guess what I'm doing. There we go. There we go. I tell you, I tell you, that wrapped around nicely, and you could. It's going to get pulled over, and then I forgot to drill holes here, but not a big deal. I can drill the holes before I pull it over, so I can rosette weld it in. But really, what it's getting held off a little bit by how it's lapped here. And then once then I can freaking just suck it right in. Just like that. Let me see what this looks like. What I probably should do is tack this, like I said, because I am perfect right up on this whole seam. Tack it, and then I can manipulate it a little bit more. But, I mean, I can't really ask for a better lineup right here. The only thing I could ask for better than this is if it installed itself. Because right now, yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's better to let things be before you screw with it. I was trying to tighten up this gap, and what I did is I tightened myself out of adjustment. Here we go. There we go. So basically, I'm going to have to hold this up, pop that. Yeah, then I can freaking... Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Gap looks good too. Looks just like it did before I took it off, which was a good looking gap. Yeah, so let me get my welder set up so I can tack weld this. All right, I was getting ready to weld it, put it up, and then I realized it was going to be more of a pain in the butt to weld it, then try to cut it. So I just went ahead and cut it. I'm going to go through and weld it now. But what I need to do is swap this back out. Put a sand disc on it so I can have something decent to weld to. You know, a lot of my welding problems, among many, is I just don't ever have the metal clean enough. And if the metal's not clean enough, you're going to have some crappy looking welds. Put this down there to deflect some of the let's see what kind of magic we can make now. If it ain't magic, well, there we go. There we go. Oh, let's go. What do we got going on here? Don't hide on me now. There we go. This tail section, I get it. I get it. But you gotta work with me a little. Can't always be hard. You gotta work with me. Work with me. There we go. It ain't one thing, it's another. I swear, if I didn't know any better, let me get me one of them little, well, I'll just use this for right now. I didn't know any better. I thought it fit better with it buckled. Struggle is real. But through YouTube editing, or just choosing not to film it, it can make it look like it's easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. All right. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that almost looked like it belonged there. All right. Well, I seem to have just a bigger gap than what I thought I had, because I must not had that thing centered right. So I'm back to right where I was before, which is where's my straight edge. But everything else is lining up. This sucker right here keeps coming down on me just ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. That's not bad right there. You know, it kind of stinks too. I got an idea. So my guess is, this is a guess, but it might be a good guess just because it's the only guess I've got right now. Right now, I got everything lining up on the bottom, seam. My guess is that when I went to cut it, it may have been lifted off just a little bit off the bottom because I didn't have it clamped. Therefore, raising the level of the quarter panel. And then when I clamped it down, I took away that little bit of a, it's probably, I mean, the gap right there is probably good 1/8 inch, but like 16th inch, probably I may have lost half of that right on the adjustment. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking a plate, take this back off, take a plate, weld it to that so it has a back, if you guys know what I mean. So what I'm going to do, this is the other part sometimes you just don't think about, is you end up doing to undo, do to undo. And it's not going to require a big plate. It just needs something as a backing surface. So, but what it will allow me to do is not worry so much. Not worry so much about the. Be gentle. Be gentle. Be gentle. Be gentle. All right. So what I mean is, where's this piece? So basically, that's actually going to work out perfect. That's going to work out perfect. And this quarter panel, if you choose to go that route, and I didn't, because it will replace all the windowsill stuff, trunk, there's a lead seam up here. I didn't want to mess with the lead seam, that's why I went below it. But there's a lead seam, and if you grind all that out, or wire wheel it out or whatever, then you got to come up, and then the way the quarter panel comes up, it comes all the way up to the end. The new one did until I cut it out, and it flaps over underneath the roof skin. And so this is the top of the quarter panel I cut off just a little too long. But what would have happened is how it's beveled right here, it would have slipped right under it and given you a good lap joint, so to speak. But because I choose the difficult route, and maybe it's not the difficult route, maybe it's just the route that I want to choose. What we got here is, where's the hammer? What we got here is a fair to communicate. All right. So basically, I'm creating a lip like that. Oh, that's like freaking perfect. I'm gonna create a lip like, where's my other? Create a lip like that, tack it in, and then I'll be able to lay that thing back on it. And it will close up that gap that I so desperately needed closed. You know what I should do? Let's just do this the half right way, since I already did it the wrong way. I'm going to put some spray weld through primer on this since it's sitting back there. And then I'll bring you guys back in. I've got this all tacked in right now. So this little plate that I was telling you I was going to make behind it, and then what I'll do is I'll slowly fill this up easily so I don't warp anything, and then put hair over top of it, fiberglass hair, and then sand it down. And then here I'm just going around nice and easy with it so not to warp it. I had to go in there with a slice and dice and kind of get it to level, because when I closed this trunk, I wanted to make sure it was completely level with the trunk. And initially it was sitting up a little high just because of the way I cut it, and, which is okay, because I'd rather cut a few times than be short. So this time I had left a little bit of meat, and then what I did is I just sliced it through and then got it all. So right now it's all pretty much mocked up. I punched holes in this. I was going to do it while I was already on, but I figured out when I had to take it, I took it off like 3 or 4 times trying to get the fitment right, but I just punched holes all the way down it for the rosette welds, and that's just temporarily held in until I want to get everything kind of situated. But yeah, it's working pretty good, looking pretty good so far. I went ahead and wiped down the roof, just because it had been in the window, just because it had been accumulating so much dust over the last couple of weeks. But it's kind of it's kind of cool seeing it with all the quarter panels and stuff on it, even though it's far from done, but done from afar. How's that? Yeah. So the door's not going to shut all the way because that vice grip's there, and it's going to need, the door needs adjustment, because I need to adjust it for this too. It's kind of getting all, so once that's completely all sealed up, welded, I'll adjust the door to the rocker panel, and then that back piece, the back quarter panel, and then from there I can make the adjustments here for the front fender. But it's coming a little bit slowly but surely. Every day I'm out there looking on Marketplace for, hopefully get a headlight panel that I've been talking about. One that's not broken or anything like that, because mine's all boogered up. But alright guys, I'm gonna go in, get something to eat, and then I'm gonna come out here, and then I'm gonna tack these in, and I'm probably not gonna film the tacking just because it's boring, but I'm gonna tack all these in little by little because I don't want to rush it and have any warpage. I want to minimize any warpness. So Yeah, right there. Yeah, I might cut that one out. But I want to minimize all the warpage and then grind it down and make it flush. But that's where we're at right now. We're getting there. Pretty soon I'll have a shell of a car. Once this is done, the quarter panel's done, and I can get this lined up and then that lined up, I'm going to jack it up even higher in the air to get under it and then start going through the underneath of it more so. Like I said, I want to go through it with either Port 15 or rust encapsulator or something. I want to coat the hole underneath of it. But all right, guys, bring you in later. After long delay, I got the quarter panel completed. Just sprayed some primer on it. It's all welded in. Like I said, I went up to the seam up here, all along here. So it's still kind of drying, but it is on. It's getting dark outside. Hold on. Yeah, let me back up a little bit. So it's all on. Now I can move on to probably the door. I'll probably do the door. There is one part of this quarter panel I need to come back to though, and it's down here. So down here, the metal didn't go quite to the rocker panel. So I'm debating whether to weld it. I really don't want to weld it, or just put seam sealer in it, or put fiberglass in it. I'm not sure yet. That's why I've kind of held off. I just threw the primer sealer on just to make sure nothing rusts, and then I'm going to go over it. And I know you're not supposed to really sand sealer, but I'm going to scuff it in a couple areas and just hit it again. But yeah, so that's, I can't shut the door yet because it's still drying in the door jamb. Yeah, I don't want to scuff it up. I don't want to do it. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Finished with that as far as I'm going to go for right now. Man, it's like this. It's like an onion. The more you peel back, the more you want to get at. And then I kind of go back to like, God, man, just slap it together and have a solid driver. And that's kind of where I was focused at the beginning. I'm still am. But the nature of the beast a lot of times is when you start tearing into something, you're like, well, I'm already here. Let's just do this. And then you'll find yourself all the way down the railroad track, far away from the station you left, and no way to get home. But I've even looked into, and I say looked into, I really mean it in the most vague way, is reproducing these, because that one's broke over there. I've been looking online, and I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that I could fab something up. It's something that I've grown fond of watching, you know, other designs, and it's not just Trans Ams, it's Novas, it's Camaros, it's it's kind of like a custom mod where they kind of flare the fenders a little bit, put an air dam in the front, make it more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not make it more rough, leave it rough, make it functional. And By functional, I mean suspension, engine, transmission, the whole 9 yards, the gearing. But again, I'm still teetering. And like I think what I'm going to end up doing is where I'm tracking right now is to get it running, get it back together after everything's solid and I've sealed everything up just to not allow it to get rust or get worse. It can't get worse now. It's actually doing really good. There's a few parts underneath that I need to get to just on the frame rails in the back. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. But get it back to where it's kind of put together to a driver. And then like any other car that you might buy, you would start like incrementally modifying it. And that way I just don't jump the gun. And I know this is in the most raw stage that it could be into where I could start cutting fender wells and doing this. But after putting all brand new quarter panels and wheel wells and trunk drop downs on the back, the last thing I want to do is cut into that and to decide, oh, here's my brainiac idea of wanting to fab this up. I might just want to enjoy it the way it is, because I always like the Trans Am's stock look anyway, or Firebirds for that matter, but I just like the body style. Ironic enough, I was never a fan of 77, 78 front end. I know a lot of people are. It's grown on me, but if you ask me like what's my favorite body style or front end, it would be the early 70s. I'm not going to go and try to put an early 70s on it and have it. I'm going to put the 78 front end on it. I just need to find that headlight panel and then go from there. But yeah, just when you think you're getting closer, you kind of realize how much further you've got to go and how much more work there is to it. But we've come a long way in just a few months, and in a few months, like I said, I haven't been out here as much as I wanted to be. Sometimes I hadn't been out here for a week. Sometimes I haven't been out here for several days in a row, and then when I do come out, it's for a couple hours here. But we're moving in the right direction. It's a lot farther than what it was several months ago when I started, and for all intents and purposes, if I wanted to, it's freaking ready to go. I mean, I just throw a freaking interior in it, slap it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do that door, the passenger door, and it doesn't need to be fixed. The door's fine. What the door needs, though, is alignment. So once that's dry, I can pull this fender's just loosely hung on. Pull this fender off, put the door, and then I can set its alignment up with the rocker panel into the back door jamb. And then once that's done, I can well, you know what I might want to do? Probably take the door off, put it over on that stand, scuff it up, and then primer it before I put it back on. And then when I put it back on, line it up. And I still got to put the glass in that door too. I have it over here wrapped in I put the paper around it so that when I'm grinding or welding, the sparks don't tear up my glass. But I still need to put that in that side and then line the door up. And then from the door, I'll do that front fender with the alignment. And as far as the alignment, it's really just trying to figure out where the shims, how many shims you need up here, how many shims you're back there. Because once I can get it kind of set to where everything's kind of lined up with, hey, I got to put 2 shims here, 1 shim here, no shims there, whatever it is. Once I get that, then I could take it all off and it will be like noted. And then because I'm going to have them painted off the car, I'll paint them off. And then when I'm putting them on, I don't booger it all up while I'm shifting it back and forth and trying to get it to align, if you know what I mean. But yeah, come a long way. Still got a long way to go. Got a long way to go. But like I said, freaking, what's that tortoise and the hare thing? Just keep moving and you'll get to your destination. But all right, guys, I'm going to close this video out. I've rambled on enough. Just kind of letting you know that I've got it all welded up nice, and it looks good. It looks good. And if you cross your eyes back up about 50 feet, it looks even better. All right, guys, take care. All right, just one more thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't wish my oldest son a happy birthday. His birthday was 2 weeks ago. He turned 32. Christian, happy birthday, belated. And my second son, he turned 30 today. Austin, happy birthday. Come a long way in 30 some years. It's hard to believe. It seemed like just yesterday you two little knuckleheads were 4 and 2 years old running around eating rocks. But proud of you both, and look forward to seeing where you go in the future. God bless you guys.